Cool. Well, Diadems, thank you very much for sponsoring those boxes. You got some nice giants out of it, some solid Ravnica figures. And there is more that's available for any of you who want to sponsor and give some miniatures a good home. Until our next adoption, why don't we go into some character creation, right? We still have some officers to make for our ship. We're going to begin tonight's session by making the Bosun. It is spelled out Boat Swain. And if you're wondering, well, so
Bosun.
I mean, it is I guess a corruption of the word. And you say, well, so what? I get a boat. What's a swain? This is the beauty of such things like dictionary.com. A male admirer, lover, or in this case, a country lad or a country gallant. Here we go. Origin of swain from swine or servant as well. Old Norse, a Svein boy. So isn't that something, huh? Getting into the etymology of words is fascinating, and especially how then it changes over the course of time. So we're going to make our Bosun. Now, if you remember, we're going to use our normal... we're going to use our generation, character generation. Actually... Here we go. Won't need this just yet, but it doesn't hurt to have a notepad open, right? Normal character generation, though, to reflect the fact that we have these specialists as officers, people who have, they've come from different backgrounds, but they've also been on a ship long enough that it counts kind of like a background itself. Though they may still retain the personality traits of them growing up or going through whatever formative experience they did. We're going to add the template of the officer here by giving them whichever skills and or tools it suggests they have. And the entry, especially here for Bosun, says that it should have a high strength score. And to, in our own way, I guess, offset these bonuses, which really don't change the character a whole lot. I mean, you're not going to be able to win a fight against a giant. We were just talking about giants from Storm King's Thunder. You're not necessarily going to be able to win a fight with a giant mechanically by having an extra proficiency in navigator's tools. So it'll help in a lot of background stuff. We'll give them a little bit of, they have this position, presumably some more income and influence. But what we'll do is we'll stick to the recommendation, and if we can't make the recommended ability the highest, we'll make it the second highest. So that could mean, hey, maybe our Bosun is a wizard, but we're going to make strength then perhaps the second highest, right? So it'll be int strength. So that way they can perform their job. Now, if you want to do something differently at home, these are playtest rules. And look, we're making up how we want to create these characters and to conceptualize campaign ideas. This is your world. These are your rules that are either playtest rules through Unearthed Arcana or through the core rulebooks. Have fun with it, right? Be imaginative. Or in this case, challenge yourself. So what happens if we get a wizard? And we make a strength wizard. All right, handy dandy character generation sheet. Our dice roller. We begin. Percentile for female, male, or multi-classed. 13, we have a female character. Now I'm going to roll a d10 to determine her race. We rolled a 1. We have a dwarf. I'm going to re-roll this and go for odds or evens to determine which dwarf. We have odds, a mountain dwarf. Female mountain dwarf. 2 percentiles for alignment. 3113 is going to put us in lawful good. Unlike our Ravnica party, we have a bunch of good guys here. Next up, let's determine the level at which we'll generate her. We rolled a 92. Oh my. Level 19. Just shy of max. That means, unless she's a fighter, who will get more, we're going to have access to 5 ASIs or ability score increases. Of the 5, let's roll and see how many we choose to replace with feats, which are optional. Your DM may not allow feats. With a 98, we have a very skilled crew. All of our crew? Did Cindy get feats? No, Cindy did not. But Sidaria and Fire Tongue both did get feats. So we have a very specialized crew here. Feats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, feats can do a lot of neat stuff, and some of them will give you an ASI. Others will just give you some very specific rule that's really cool to use. Now for a 13-sided die, we're going to determine our Bosun's background. Looks like she came from 4. She was also an entertainer or a gladiator. We're going to roll a d3 to determine how many routines she knows. She's going to know 3 of them, and so we're going to roll a d10 3 times. 8, 1, 8, so let's replace that other 8 with a 4. 1, 4, 8. They're pirates. So they're good pirates? Our personality traits are going to be 1 and 2. Whoops. And our ideal bond and flaw will be 4, 4, and almost another 4. 4, 4, and 3. Now it's time to roll the magical golden D12 and find out which class our Bosun is rocking. Are we going to have to make a muscle wizard? A muscle warlock? A muscle fighter? That could work, right? You ready? 1, a barbarian. A muscle barbarian, I guess that works. With a mountain dwarf? Ooh. Ooh. Let's roll odds or evens to determine if we have a berserker or a totem barbarian. Whoa, that clicked twice. All right, well, so the first result after our original 1 is an odd number. So we're making a berserker barbarian Bosun. Mountain dwarves begin at 4 feet tall, and we're going to add 2d4 inches to her height. We're going to add 6 inches, so she is 4'6". And we're going to take, we're going to multiply that 6 by 2d6 by 9. So we're adding 54 pounds to 130. So she is 184 pounds. Like One Piece pirates, so yeah, good pirates that prefer to party and be goofy than rather than plunder. I tried to combine Mystic and Barbarian this morning, couldn't figure it out. What do you mean by Mystic? If I were to play a PHB Barbarian, I would probably go Totem. They seem cool. Yeah, Coffee, you could do some cool stuff with Totem Barbarians. In order to fix things, first you have to know how to break them. See, okay, yeah, Rytel, I like that. Yeah, of course, I've broken a lot of stuff in my day. I know how to... And of course, too, I mean, you want someone who can put a ship back together, especially if you're sailing under full speed. You gotta have someone who can, like, push the planks back against the water and coo. Oh, if it's a homebrew thing, then I don't know what to... Like, multi-classing is in Chapter 6 of the PHP. It's not that difficult to do. You know, so if you want help with stuff like that, then I could help you figure out how to multi-class Rhodey. Now let's roll a percentile and find out how old she is. We rolled a 52. That is going to make her an adult. And for a dwarf, let's see, adult is column 3. We take dwarf over between 100 and 150. So let's generate, well, 101, but that's technically result number 1. We're going to make a 50-sided die and roll it. 49. She is 149 years old. All right, Rhodey. Well, if you have questions on that, even if it's just for writing, you can take what we do here, right? Even though we're discussing mechanics, and you can extrapolate that into writing and for a story. All right, we no longer need our roll sheet here. We have our random numbers generated. Why don't we put that away? Because we want strength to be high, I'm going to put an X here to indicate that, though being a barbarian, I think that's going to happen anyway. She is going to have proficiency with carpenter's tools and the athletics skill. So there's athletics and tools, carpenter's tools. We don't need this any longer. So now if students, open up your player's handbooks to chapter 4, please. We are going to go to entertainer with the option of, you know, if we want her to be a barbarian, we can make her a barbarian. No, I mean a barbarian, gladiator. Here's my sign. All right, we get acrobatics and performance. You know what that means? She's Scotty, or she's really any engineer in Star Trek. You gotta convince the captain, you know, you gotta tell the captain it's gonna take an hour to fix the warp drives. And then when you fix it in 15 minutes, you look good. That's part of the performance. You gotta sell it in your voice. I guess that might be deception. I don't know. You know, you say, well, for normal people it's an hour, but I'm not normal. Tool proficiencies, disguise kit, and a type of a musical instrument. We will receive an instrument of some kind. Oh, and we will also get a favor or a token from a fan, an admirer, a lover, past or present. So we will roll up a trinket for her as well. We're going to have to give her some kind of a costume. A belt pouch. And 15 gold. She's capable in 3 routines. Those being an actor, a jester, and a singer. You know, between her and Fire Tongue, they have quite, I think they could have quite the routine going. Right? So he's a fire eater, an instrumentalist, and a poet. Our background feature is by popular demand. Which means that, you know, you pull into places that might know you, and you can arrange room and board for performing services. You might even be able to be paid a little bit of money on top of that. All right, here's some juicy bits. Let's get into her personality. Who is she? I mean, right? We only have a vague inkling of who this character is as we're further like pulling her out of the mists of obscurity and the ether and making her materialize in front of us. It is open if you want to do that, Coffee. I mean, our warlock played a harmonica poorly, and ended up getting some performing in. So if the bard can't, I don't know what's going on here. Jade is just too good. You know, good warlock, good strength, good performer. And yet she wants to be none of those things. Jade's like a cat. You know, the more you don't want to be around a cat, the more the cat wants to be around you. Although in this case, the more she doesn't want the things she has, the more they just seem to swarm around her. All right, her personality. Aspect number 1. I know a story relevant to almost every situation. Jade the indecisive. I think she's decisive. It's just things keep happening to her. And personality number 2. Whenever I come to a new place, I collect local rumors and spread gossip. Ideal number 4. Yeah, here we go. Come on, scroll. Ideal number 4. Greed. Oh, we don't have people. This is the first one who isn't after people. Greed. I'm only in it for the money and fame. Now, she's lawful good, and you may say, but Matt, you're whacked out of your gourd. This is clearly an evil ideal. I mean, for those of you who've hung out, you've heard me repeat this often. That's fine. You know, your alignment is how you express yourself. But it doesn't mean you can't have other aspects to your personality that aren't just completely in line with how you express yourself, other thoughts you may have. You know, I use the example, a chaotic evil person can donate to a charity. You know, it's not impossible. It's just as that person expresses themselves in an impulsive, in a more impulsive, more selfish manner than not. We are on bond number 4. I idolize a hero of the old tales and measure my deeds against that person's. Maybe it was her teacher. Maybe it was someone from some historical or religious figure. you know, a great pirate of old. So she may not be a pirate, but she may still respect the adventures that this pirate captain had, if you believe the tales. If she controlled the weather, she'd be Nami from One Piece. I will have to take your word at that, Rhodey, because I have not read the manga nor seen the anime. And her flaw is number 3. A scandal prevents me from ever going home again. That kind of trouble seems to follow me around. Ooh. This is good fodder for you as a DM, by the way. If you're DMing for this character, what was the scandal? Talk to your player about this, and you know, flesh it out, because that means every once in a while, maybe you have a jilted lover. You know, maybe that token is I don't know. Maybe that token is from an ex of yours, or I don't know. You were married and you know, you're an entertainer. Something happened, accusations of unfaithfulness, and she decided to flee because it was just too embarrassing. In a small town, everyone was talking, something along those lines. Or, I don't know, she was caught. You know, if she has a bit of a greedy streak to her, then maybe that greedy streak got her in trouble. Maybe she, I don't know, she stole something from a neighbor and tried to cover it up, and the neighbors found out, and it caused, you know, it's not going to get her head removed. She's not a cattle rustler, but she was just so embarrassed about it, and she moved on, and is hopefully trying to escape it. But, you know, the pursuit of fame and money, I have to be popular, I have to be someone. And yet at the same time, you know, I want everyone to know my name, but if people know my name, they might learn what I did. An interesting dichotomy, isn't it? Being in it for the money could definitely connect to the scandal. A shady deal gone wrong. Yes, Rightel. That might even go a little bit into why she's an actor, so she can dress up, look like not her, especially if she goes home. Or she stole millions of dollars since she was a child to save her village from fishermen pirates. I don't know if that's I guess that would be a scandal. Like, the village finds out and tells her that she has to repay back the money because, you know, the village didn't, you know, the village needed to be saved, but they also didn't want someone to steal on their behalf. That could be a scandal, I suppose, Rhodey. Now, of course, if we don't want her to be a straight-up entertainer, as per, you know, I play songs and whatnot on an instrument. With Gladiator, she can be a flourishing fighter, right? Kind of like professional wrestling in our modern day and age. She is an actor, she's a jester, and she's a singer. 1, 4, and 8. You can do all of those while you're fighting. I dare say we go for a gladiator instead. And in this case, for the by popular demand, she's more of a pit fighter, or, you know, she can stage a fight instead of just being put on stage to perform an instrument. You can replace the musical instrument in your equipment package with an inexpensive but unusual weapon such as a trident or net. I don't know. Maybe she still plays the instrument she plays. She just is a better fighter than a straight up performer, which is the opposite of Fire Tongue Severian here. He wants to be on stage and have people hear him and see him and watch him do his thing. In fact, you know what? If she kind of does a professional fighting league or whatnot, in different ports, she might have different costumes or personas. You know, so she's a heel in one port, but she's a face in another port. That kind of a thing. Oh, that's the backstory of Nami? Gotcha, Rhodey. All right, we have we have our background, and we have what is going to make her stand out as the bosun of the ship. Now we can go over to races. Let's go to dwarf and see what being a dwarf is going to do for her. We have a walking speed of 25 feet, 12 climb, 12 swim, 0 fly. We do have 60 feet of dark vision. We have advantage on saving throws against poison, and you have resistance against poison damage. So up here, IRV, I'll zoom in a little bit on the sheet that we use. Immunities, resistances, and vulnerabilities. We're resistant to poison, and we have advantages versus poison. Dwarven combat training. We have proficiency. Well, being a barbarian, that we glaze over that. Tool proficiency. We gain proficiency with the artisan's tools of our choice. Smith's tools, brewer's supplies, or mason's tools. Given that she's a bosun on the ship, she probably knows how to do a little bit of iron working. You know, she can make nails and brackets and all sorts of other things like that. Probably give her Smith's tools would work. Of course, you could say, well, no, we should give her brewer supplies. Because, look, it's a ship. And I'm sure that that she could get along well with Cincy here, who also is good with brewer supplies as the ship's cook. That could work. I mean, heck, you could even say that parts of the ship are made of stone, because the Unearthed Arcana accounts for ships that have those properties. Or, you know, or we already have carpenter's tools from being a bosun. But remember that if being a dwarf opens this up for you, not all dwarves do one of these three things. What if your family in your own backstory were jewelers? Well, maybe you want to take proficiency with jeweler's tools instead. Now, going off of vanilla player's handbook, I don't know. Let's make her stand out and give her Smith's tools as a proficiency. But when you're making a character in your own game, talk to your DM about it. Stone cunning. Whenever you make an intelligence history check related to the origin of stonework, you are considered proficient in the history skill and add double your proficiency bonus to the check instead of your normal proficiency bonus. All right, Tracy. Hey, thanks for stopping by and hanging out. And by the way, if you all didn't see, Coffee Cat has been a busy boy here, and has been doing some sketching, including. So here's the sketch of Bright resummoning Peggy Sue, and take a look at the coloration that he put on there. We have it's just a nice, it's a magical moment. And then the sketch of when Mordecai died in order to become a vampire. Languages: Common and Dwarven. Well, we are a bit of a short stack. We are medium-sized. And now we put down our... we get 2 con for being a dwarf. For being a mountain dwarf, we increase our strength by 2. And we also have dwarven armor training, but we're going to get that from being a barbarian, so there we go. That means it's time to pop over to Barbarian and make ourselves a nice epic level Berserker Barbarian. Almost everything right here. But it's a pretty straightforward chart. Barbarians are D12 hit die classes. I guess it's really the only one. So we have 19 D12 as our hit die, which allows us to recuperate in between battles during rests. We have armor proficiencies, light, medium, and shields. We are proficient with simple and martial weapons. No tool proficiencies. Strength and con are going to be our saving throws here. Our proficiencies with them, I'm sorry. Now, the skills, we get to choose 2. From animal handling, well, we already have athletics, intimidation, nature, perception, and survival. What does her personality have to say? I mean, we know she's a Bosun, and she got athletics and the carpenter's tools off of that. And we can consider that also for other skills that she'll pick up. I know a story relevant to almost every situation. That could be knowledge, nature, and all the things that she's seen. Greed, I'm in it for money and fame. I idolize a hero of the old tales and measure my deeds against that person's. You could argue here, too, that instead of maybe nature, if you wanted to take history instead, as this character seems to be steeped in it. Oh, and a scandal prevents me from ever going home again. That kind of trouble seems to follow me around. She is a gladiator. So she goes from port to port or ship to ship, making these performances. She already has athletics and acrobatics. It's her job to repair the ship, right? Bosun provides technical advice to the captain and crew and leads repair and maintenance efforts. A good Bosun has a high strength score, as well as proficiency with carpenter's tools and the athletics skill. I think we're going to go nature. I don't know if she's maybe survival, right? If she's had to sort of float around for a while, not just ship to ship or on a ship, but if she had to leave her hometown and wander and build up skills. But I don't know, something about survival is just not clicking. Ooh. Animal handling. Here's my logic, and let me know if you agree with this. Now, animal handling is that. It's for animals. It's for, if you are, you want to calm down a wild dog, or you want to try and, not magically, but maybe get some kind of a very simple point across to another animal. As the Bosun, as the engineer, she may very well be familiar with the ship, almost akin to it being an animal. She knows the sounds and the groans. She knows if it lists to one side. It'd be kind of like limping along. Now, the DM may not necessarily allow for an animal handling to affect the ship. I don't know. It might be kind of interesting if in that case, it's animal handling, but we just make it into ship handling or the like. But that's my proposition to you, is that she would be good in animal handling because she maybe develops this kind of empathy with this ship. And she knows it so well. In fact, animal handling might even go into the scandal from her past. Again, we said that she wasn't a cattle rustler, but maybe, I don't know, maybe she found a prize-winning pig from, the state fair or whatever, who got out, and she ended up deciding to like take it home and eating it because no one claimed it. And then she's like, "Whoa, what's this blue ribbon?" And she like wore the blue ribbon in her hair, you know. And then people are like, "Hey, where'd you get that?" And like, "Oh, it was this pig, and I ate it." A scandal or something along those lines. And you know, of course, it belonged to those powerful farming family in her village or whatever, in her farmland area. And so you know, she couldn't go back because of all that happened. So animal handling could go back into her past, but even be reflected in how she interacts with the ship itself, being the bosun. Does that work? It works for you, Rhodium? There we go then. So knowledge, nature, and animal handling. And look at this. She's pretty well spread out. She has proficiency in each of the 5 ability scores that have a direct skill with them. While we're here at level 19, our proficiency bonus is +6. Actually, in this case, we're just going to put rage, and we get 6 per day. And our rage damage is +4. Okay, a great axe or any martial melee weapon. Ooh, what would she use? Probably a maul, right? A big hammer, like a sledgehammer. She'd be proficient in combat with it, and she probably even uses it to repair parts of the ship. Not that she can't use an axe, but you know what? We also have these paladins who are great weapon users too. This is a very interesting mix-up. And look, also by this level, if they've been sailing this whole time, is she going to have a magical thing, or will she even have an axe and a maul and all these other things to choose from? Yeah, most likely. As we're generating her and sticking to what we have up above, again, let's think thematically. Let's build her out. So let's give her a maul. 2 hand axes or any... So hatchets, right? You got to cut through wood and rope sometimes. I was going to put hatchet. Hand axe. X2. An explorer's pack and 4 javelins. Okay, so at level 1, we're going to get the ability to rage, which does a lot of really cool stuff. I would highly suggest, I mean, as a barbarian, this is your big mechanic. You know, go through it. I'm not skipping over it because it's boring, but because, I mean, I could be here reading for, you know, a while, and I want to make sure we're continuing. So if you have a particular question regarding rage, I'll happily answer that. But don't think that I'm just sort of like blowing it off. Like, oh yeah, wizards cast spells? Yeah, that's fine. I mean, you get damage reduction, damage increase. There's so much. It does a lot. All right, so we're also going to get unarmored defense. If you're not wearing any armor, your AC equals 10 plus dex plus con. Next up is reckless attack. We can get advantage on our attacks if we grant advantage against for attacks against us. Danger sense. You have an uncanny sense of when things nearby aren't as they should be, giving you an edge when you dodge away from danger. You have advantage on dex saving throws against effects that you can see, against which you can see. And it goes on to tell you mechanically what that means. We're going to get our primal path at 3, and we'll come back to that. But for being a barbarian, this is what we're getting. Extra attack at level 5. Oh, at fast movement, that's right. Our speed increases by 10 feet. There we go. We also have a feral instinct. Your instincts are so honed that you have advantage on initiative rolls. You want someone to act quickly to try and repair damage on your ship, and who can read the mood of the ship. Not the crew, but the ship itself. She's turning out to be an awesome bosun. Brutal critical. You can add one. You can roll one additional weapon damage die. Relentless Rage. You can keep your fighting despite grievous wounds. If you drop to 0 hit points while you're raging and don't die outright, you can make a DC 10 con saving throw. In which case it acts as a focus sash, right? You stay at 1 hit point. At level 15, we have Persistent Rage. Your rage is so fierce that it ends early only if you fall unconscious or if you choose to end it. So you can always be on. Whereas before you have to be hit or you have to be deal damage or take damage in order to keep your rage going. Can Danger Sense be used on the ship too? Yeah, I don't see why not, Rhodey. Right, because it talks about things like traps or other hazards, and it could classify as a trap if a plank is about ready to come loose and flood a portion of the why am I derping? If a portion of the hull is going to come loose and let water into the holds. And, we're not a primal champion at 20 yet, but at 18 we do get Indomitable Might. Your total for a strength check is less than your strength score. You can use that score instead of, in place of the total. Isn't that something? Beginning at 18th level, if your total for a strength check is less than your strength score, you can use the score in place of the total. So it's setting a nice minimum, and why we want to probably cap out, right? So we're always strong all the time. Okay, now let's go into Path of the Berserker. We are going to be able to Frenzy. Starting when you choose this path at 3rd level, you can go into a Frenzy when you rage. If you do, for the duration of your rage, you can make a single melee weapon attack as a bonus action. And you'll get exhaustion afterwards, but it's a 3rd attack. It's pretty good. We get Mindless Rage. We can't be charmed or frightened while raging. I mean, we're just so focused on it, right? And Intimidating Presence. Being at 10th level, you can use your action to frighten someone with your menacing presence. And that's mechanical frightening, not just I'm rolling a check and we're going to narrate through roleplay or the like. And Retaliation at 14th level. Starting at 14th level, when you take damage from a creature that is within 5 feet of you, you can use your reaction to make a melee weapon attack against that creature. That is retaliation for sure. Oh, yes, Katie Sue has, I see the chat notification. It takes, for whatever reason, it takes a little bit for me to get the, so it'll show up here in hopefully short order. But you know what also, Katie and the others might be held up in ad purgatory. So they have to serve their sentence of 30 seconds in order to then fully load into, the channel. All right, so we are a gladiator, we are a bosun, we are a dwarf, mountain dwarf particularly, and we are a berserker barbarian. Now that we have this, hey, we don't have to worry about spells, do we? Now that we have this information, we have the chassis of our character. Now, why don't we fill in some more details, right? Let's drop the engine in with our scores. And of course, because Bosun recommends a high strength score, well, we did roll Barbarian, let's put our 15 here, right? And also, let's make her really tough. Let's give her a 14 in con. I think she's just going to be a tough. I mean, she's going to be strong. She's going to be able to, like, you know, to get through, you know, cold water and just power through things. She can take a lot of damage, right? If you're below decks and, you know, you have stuff exploding around you, you know, people tripping or all this other stuff, you got to be tough to do this job, right? Plus, she wants to idolize this, you know, this magnificent hero of old. But she does like spreading rumors. So I think the 13 can go into charisma here. She does perform. Let's go 13 dex, 12 charisma. It's going to be the same modifier anyway. 10 wisdom and 8 intelligence. Now, just because her intelligence is lower doesn't mean that, I mean, in the one thing she knows, she's good at it. She just doesn't have a breadth of knowledge. Now, once we apply our racial modifiers, that's going to bring us to a 17 strength and a 16 con. Before we do final calculations, however, we need to give her training in 5 feats. And some of those feats might increase her ability scores. So let's go to chapter 6 in the player's handbook. Whoops. And look at the feats. You know, the first one that comes to mind, if we want her to be super tough here, is just that. Tough. When your hit point maximum increases by an amount equal to twice your level when you gain this feat. Whenever you gain a level thereafter, your hit point maximum increases by an additional 2 hit points. This is going to give her a lot of hit points. And just imagine if you are a hill dwarf and you get an extra hit point anyway, and you take tough and you're a barbarian, that's pretty big. You'll be just this hit points for days. All right, anyway, let's give her tough. Which means in our hit, we'll do that when we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. What else? Let's maybe Tavern Brawler could work. Improvised weapons, unarmed strikes. She is kind of a wrestler, a gladiator performer. Let's give her Tavern Brawler. That's actually going to float an extra point of strength. What else would be thematic for her? Grappler, maybe. Great Weapon Master could be good, too. Alert, always on the lookout for danger. That could work. Can't be surprised while you're conscious. You know, we're talking about that, Rhodey. You know, with can she use these things with the ship? Oh, climbing doesn't have your speed. That could be very important, right? If you got to climb up rigging and the like. And you can make a running long jump or a high jump. Ooh, athlete I think is going to be good for her. As a barbarian and as a bosun. That'll let us put something also in strength or dex. Let's pop her dex up a little bit then. So Maddie, sorry for the random question, but for my story I'd like to make a D&D inspired character that is classed as a physically strong character with the ability to cast magic. In my story, when he gets angry, he's able to tap into a system called Spirit Molding, which is kind of like Psionics, but not quite. Which class or classes would you recommend to base it on? Coffee Cat was talking about Totem Barbarians. That could be interesting. You could go with an Eldritch Knight, which is a fighter. If you're going for physical strength. Now, of course, we can multi-class. You could make a Barbarian Sorcerer if you want to. But if we're talking about things that fuse it together, clerics, paladins, even rangers get some magic as well. So I guess part of this is also, and even warlocks, if you go for Pact of the Blade warlock. So you have a lot of options available to you, Rhodey. I guess you're going to have to give a little bit more detail about, you know, the source of the source of this power, or some of the extensions of it, the capabilities of it, if you want to try and narrow it into into being able to generate this character mechanically in D&D, and even if then you reflect back on your writing because you have a source document for this character. What else would she... Would she take Actor? I think we said alert. Alert's going to be good. And finally... we could make her a little dexterous if we go with maybe if we make her resilient. But I don't know, her using that sledgehammer, that maul. Yeah, let's give her Great Weapon Master. Now look, this character, if you're making her at home, maybe the feats that you have are going to be different. That's totally fine. I mean, and you can even make suggestions over here in chat. In trying to eke it out. Again, I'm thinking about who is she? How did a person like this get to be a Bosun? You know, what are the skills that support her personality? You know, can you have a cantankerous, antisocial wizard? Sure. I mean, how are you getting all the spells if you're not willing to go out into the world or trade with other people? It's not that you can't, because look, by playing a character, you are an exceptional person. But when I choose things like skills for this practice that we do, and this is something I'd even urge you out there if you're making a character, what's their personality? What's their purpose? Choose skills based on that. Now, it's a tried and true method. You sit down with the other players, and when someone says, okay, so I took, I guess I'll be the quick one, so I'll take the alert feat, and I'll make sure to wake us up if we're attacked, and I'll get the bonus to initiative. Someone else says, okay, good, then I'll be the athletics person, and someone says, you know, etc. and so forth. That's fine. You can make a party that way. Though for the considerations we're doing and challenging ourselves for roleplay purposes, or just to even challenge you, can you randomly roll a character and roll with it in a campaign? I want to make sure that we're being true to her, and not just saying, well, someone else has this, because otherwise, hey, we're redundant. We have 2 Wood Elf Paladins, right? And they're both of the same. They're both of the same vow or oath. All right, so let's do this. That means that we've locked in any sort of other bumps. So Dex is going to go to a 14. Strength is going to go to an 18. That's going to give us 1 charisma, 0 wisdom, -1 int, 3 con, 2 dex, and 4 strength. Saving throw 10, athletics 10. 2 for everything that's not acrobatics, which is going to be 8. Con is 3. Nature's going to be at a +5, but everything else we're just going to very discreetly copy and paste this -1. Wisdom is 0 down the line with the exception of animal handling, which is going to be a 6. And charismas are going to be 1 down the line with the exception of performance, which is a 7. Now that we have this, let's see, our passive perception is going to be 10. It's 10 plus your perception modifier for your natural awareness. And that's what is... So she's more instinctive, I suppose. She's a reactor, not a proactor here. Armor class, if she's not wearing armor, it's going to be 15. 10 plus dex plus con. Now, and you can use a shield and also get that, so it could go to 17. If she was wearing medium armor... medium armor allows up to a +2 dexterity with its base. So if we went with what's our default medium armor? It's scale mail, I believe. Scale mail is 14 plus dex, so that would take us to a 16 there. So, and then we can go to an 18 if we had a shield. So it's up to you. Barbarians can wear armor and be really defensive. They can also not wear armor and be rather defensive still, but they're going to have that nice fat hit point pool, right? And we can even... Oh, hang on. For heavy armor, I don't know if you can rage in heavy armor. It might say otherwise. Okay, let's figure out our hit points. At level 1, you get your maximum hit die and hit points, so we get 12. For all other levels, so the other 18, because we're level 19, half plus 1. In this case, it's going to be a 7, right? Half of 12 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Then, for all of your levels, so all 19 of them, you get bonus hit points equal to your Constitution modifier. That's going to be almost 60 extra hit points for this character. And then, because we're tough, your hit point maximum increases by an amount equal to twice your level when you gain this feat. So now we have 19 times 2. And just think, we'd get another 19 hit points if we were a hill dwarf. Isn't that something? Or the sorcerer, the dragon bloodline sorcerer. So here is 38. So if we had 38 with 2, it's going to go to 48, and then plus 9 is going to be 57. So that would be, if it was 20 times 7, that would be 140 minus 14 would be 126. Or, yeah, it'd be 126. So we add these together. This is going to be 138. And then we have 8 and 7 is 15. Carry the 1. So we have 95 extra hit points here. We add this in, so that's going to be a 3. Carry the 1. That's going to be a 3. Carry the 1. And that's going to be 233 hit points. What I tell you about sitting on a fat stack of hit points. Tough will really give you... Whew. And, you know, tough isn't bad. You know, if you're doubling down on hit points, it's good. It's really good. But you can be, you know... If you're a wizard who doesn't have very good, a very good con score, but you don't want to dump in, you know, anything into actually bringing the score up, spend one of your ability score increases and take tough and get a bunch of hit points just straight up. It's not reliant on constitution, just your character level. All right, armor class without armor, we said it was 15. You know, she doesn't have a shield, and it could go up. She could put on armor. She's capable of doing it. Our strength attacks here is going to be a plus 10 with all of our strength base. And yes, the javelins and hand axes, you can poke with them, but they also are thrown weapons. So while they are ranged, they are actually rely on your strength. Whereas finesse weapons are melee weapons in which you can use dexterity instead of strength if you'd so wish. She has earned a name. We're going to get rid of that. Initiative. Now, our initiative would normally be a plus 2 because initiative is a dexterity check. However, alert is going to give us an extra 5 to this. And therefore, our initiative is going to be a plus 7. In fact, if we go back to alert, or I'm sorry, it wasn't that. It was observant, which I don't think we didn't give her observant. That's the one that gives her a bonus to initiative. Or I'm not initiative, passive investigation and perception. All right, so we applied alert. Tavern Brawler is its own. It's its own thing. We applied tough. Athlete are just going to have its own set of rules that we can consider for this character, and Great Weapon Master is going to be the same. So we've added in all of that. No spells slots. So now, really, the only thing we have left to finish her off, let's give her a trinket. What is the thing that she has that could be the cause of her shame, or is something that someone gave her who is an admirer in some way? Let's go to the trinket section and roll a percentile. 80. So this is trinket number 80, which is a bronze pentacle with an etching of a rat's head in its center. What could that mean? Trinkets are excellent to have you ask these questions. Where did this come from? What does it mean? How can I use this? You know, some of these trinkets are kind of quasi-magical. You know, are they a magic item-ish? Maybe they faintly glow as magic under detect magic. Her name is Toff because she is tough. As long as she's not a blind Mary Sue Earthbender. Bronze pentacle with an etching of a rat's head in its center. That is why I love thinking along these lines. You know, what could that mean? Could that have been from, you know, who is it from? Is it an omen? Is this the source of her shame? Maybe this is something she stole and she ran away with it, and she's always meant to give it back, but she's so ashamed of it that you know, if she were to turn it in, and she knows that she has to, she just can't trust anyone to give it back. Go back to weapons real quick. A maul, 2d6 bludgeoning. 2d6 plus 4. That's her strength mod. Bludgeoning. Which, by the way, for something like that lets you reroll, like if you take that savage attacker that lets you reroll low rolls on damage, getting a 2-die weapon is really good. Hand axes are 1d6 plus 4 slashing, and they do have a range. You can throw them. 20-60. Javelins are 30-120, and this is 1d6 plus 4 piercing. And no spell sheet. So here we go. She's missing a name, but you know what, everyone? We have a really rockin' and a very solid bosun for our ship. Hey, Astreus, welcome. Oh, I hope your game went well, Astreus. So welcome home. Now there's more D&D waiting for you. We just finished making the bosun of our ship's crew. Well, you know, if you have any tales from the tabletop, you are always welcome to share them here or on our Discord. And Astreus, we're looking for a name for this character still. Rhodey did throw out at least a partial name of Toff, because she's tough. We have a female mountain dwarf Berserker Barbarian, who is the bosun of this ship. She is a gladiator, who knows several performing routines. I know a story relevant to almost every situation. Whenever I come to a new place, I collect local rumors and spread gossip. I'm only in it for the money and fame. I idolize a hero of the old tales and measure my deeds against that person's, and a scandal prevents me from ever going home again. That kind of trouble seems to follow me around. Mawcrusher? Is this like a proper family name? Is she calling herself a Mawcrusher? Well, let's see if we have a bosun. And as we discovered, a swain is a good country lad. I wonder if she's come up then, and so instead of being a lad of some kind, if she is a what would be like a country lass? So she'd be a boat. And by the way, this kind of corrupted over time into Bosun. Yeah, it could just be a big entertainer name, right? I'm the Mawcrusher. Bone saws ready. Let's see if this a goodie. Polite term of address for a woman of humble social standing. That might work. A boat goodie. Could then go to a bowgood. Or a Boudy. It's not a body, you know. It's just like it's not the Marine Corps. It's the Marine Corps. Could be like that. A Boudy. Rowdy, rowdy, and bowdy, bowdy. Toff, Boudy, Mawcrusher. At your service. And there we go. All right. This so this Boudy is about to get body on you. In its own way too, because there's also there's body. Oh, I'm sorry, that's BAW. Indecent, so she's not, depending on her costume, I guess, I don't know, she's wrestling like Armika from Street Fighter. But coarse or indecent talk or writing, which is bawdry. We could do a lot of stuff with that. Anyway, let's take a 10-minute break, everyone, and when we come back, you're ready to make the first mate of the ship, and we'll see what she or he is going to be like, and examine our player character crew. And I say that because we'll make the captain, but for a campaign like this, I think it would be fun to have the captain be the DM for #reasons we can get into, and we're working on the campaign itself. Not that the crew couldn't step up in a pinch or the like, and that's part of the point. But for player characters we're presuming are going to be entering into the campaign we're making, we're going to make 5, which are going to be the 5 officers except the captain. Audrey Baudry Mawcrusher. Now entering the arena. And you know what? On a ship, she'll find, she'll wrestle people. They'll box. They'll, even arm wrestle or whatnot. So, having her there to, make sure everyone stays on their toes, kind of, spice up the place. Anyway, let's take a 10-minute break, and we'll come back and make our first, our number 1, to use, to use next generation lingo, right?